the single best bet of the Cheltenham Festival. Anyone tells you any different is wrong.
You're very confident about number 8.
That was number. I know. How much more confident can we go? When we get to 1, Dave's just gonna go mad for this.
I think it's the skeleton plot for this year's county hurdle. Wouldn't put you off having a reverse forecast or exactor on mine and Dave's selections as well, because that could pay about 100 to 1 or plus at current prices.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of GG Weekend Watch, because this is our 2025 Cheltenham Festival preview show. And we're in a suitable location for it as well. We are in a studio. We're not in our home studios now, in our box rooms. The three of us have managed to make it to London. And the only reason we are able to make it to London is because of you. So a big welcome along to any new viewers, all of our existing viewers as well. Thank you so much for your support over the last year. So make sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and who knows, we could well be back here again next year. My name is Tracey, joined as ever by my dynamic duo, Dave Young and Andrew Mount. Andrew, you're out of the sauna.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to get out of the house. Doesn't happen very often. So,
No, it's great, isn't it? And Dave, we've got such a wonderful setup here. I don't think we'd be getting to this point. This is fantastic for us.
No, it's phenomenal, but it's the only way we could escape Kiwi, isn't it? To just
I know!
leave your area and get into a studio. But yeah, it's good. I'm really looking forward to this.
I know. That's the only thing we're missing is the unofficial mascot, is Kiwi running across the table and shouting at me to be let out the back door. But no, we're far more professional this time around.
Having filmed at Villa Park a few times, I'm expecting Alan McIntyre.
I know, Alan McIntyre just to pop up at some point from here as well. But yeah.
And Nap Constitution Hill.
Yes, always. All the usual chaos, exactly what you would hope to expect then, hopefully, on this show. Now, we're going to give you a very different concept in terms of this Cheltenham preview, because you're used to the norms, but this time around, I'm going to ask both Dave and Andrew for their 10 best bets of the Cheltenham Festival. So we're going to do the first 5 now. Then we have a quiz in between, lads. So I know the pair of you, really looking forward to that. I am anyway, because I'm the quiz master, so I get to know all the answers straight away. But really looking forward to that. So we're going to break up the preview with the quiz part way through, and then we're going to come back with the lads' final top 5 bets for the Cheltenham Festival. So lads, we better get cracking. Andrew, number 10 on your list, please.
Yeah, new entry at number 10
New
is L'Empressé in the Gold
Lovely.
Cup, which might surprise you given that he pulled up last time at Ascot behind Pic D'Orhy, but that was no surprise given that he clearly hates going right-handed. Now, people have sort of mocked me for that opinion because he has won right-handed on more than one occasion, but the first of those wins came in a sort of handicap chase when he was off a lowly mark. The other times in a graduation chase and as a novice. Now, since he's been tackling genuine Grade 1 opponents, every time he's gone right-handed, he's bombed out. Including last time where, jumped out to his left in the first 3 fences, bad mistake at the 4th, and he soon pulled up. That might actually be a blessing in disguise that he didn't have a hard race that day. And he's now had 8 runs on left-handed tracks in his career, 6 wins, a 3rd and a 4th. The 3rd coming in a Grade 1 at Aintree, the 4th coming in the Gold Cup last year behind Galopin des Champs when 16-1. Now, he was only beaten a couple of lengths for 3rd that day. Corax Rambler came from off the pace to do him for 3rd place after he raced prominently. They probably did a little bit too much with him too soon. And given his good record when fresh, it might have been that Ascot, that race came a little bit too soon after Ascot. Now, the fact that he hasn't got further than the 4th fence might actually be in his favour this time around. This looks a weaker renewal than last year. And other than Galopin des Champs, you look at the sort of next few in the betting, there are doubts about them. And of course, the bookies overreacted to that run at Ascot last time. Back on a left-handed track, never out of the first 4 this way round, including 6 wins from those 8 starts. I think he's going to run a big race and maybe get 3rd or 4th again. I'm not expecting him to win because I think Galopin des Champs is pretty much bomb-proof, bar a fall. But there's plenty of ways to play the race. The forecast to finish 2nd to Galopin des Champs, each way, the obvious angle, or bet him to finish exactly 2nd. So I think he's going to run a stormer. Not sure what prices we've got on there.
28 as tops with Bet365. We've got a selection there of prices, so 6 prices, just to give you a gauge of where he's really at. But our top price there, Bet365, at 28-1.
Bargain.
It is, isn't it? A solid case made for a good opener. And when you look at Galopin des Champs and the price that he is at about 1-2 then at present, and how many horses in behind those at big prices, I mean, why should L'Empressé not be there or thereabouts at 28-1? And
we see it time and time again. Horses who run well in the race, finishing 2nd, 3rd or 4th, come back and fill the same position the next year.
Okay, Andrew coming in with the big hitter then in the Gold Cup. Dave, over to you, please, for your 10th best bet.
Yep, so I'm going to go for another championship race, this time the Stayers Hurdle, and it's Lucky Place.
Yes.
Horse I put up in my anti-post column earlier this season after his Grade 2 Ascot Hurdle victory. Now, he is yet to tackle 3 miles, but I think that's probably the benefit to him compared to some of the rest in this field because he is unexposed at the trip. He does have about £10 to find with Teahupoo, but the fact that he will be stepping up to a new distance, which I think is bound to suit him. He stays on strongly. Connections have waited with him to try him at this trip for this particular race. He had the option to go to the long walk hurdle at Ascot. Didn't even have an entry for that. I was a bit worried about him at that point. And I then came back for the real kill at Cheltenham. He won that Grade 2 there, which has been franked by Gal Road, albeit that's Gal Road winning at a different trip after. But I kind of thought he might come back for the Cleve Hurdle too, and that would have answered that question about his stamina. But the way that Nicky Henderson talks about him, he doesn't question it in the slightest. He thinks he'll definitely improve for it. I think the 8-1 about him seems like a fair enough price because Teahupoo is the standout horse in the race. He's just been too short throughout the season. And while there's a void in behind for a big, strong challenge, Lucky Place, that £10 that he's got to find, I think he can do that 4 stepping up in trip. So he's down the bottom of the list because I do think that Teahupoo's going to be very hard to beat in this race. But at the prices at this stage, I think 8-1 is still fair about him.
Yeah, he's just a horse where he's improving with every single run as well. He's still so lightly raced as well. So a horse that's getting better and better. And similar to what we were saying then with the Gold Cup and Andrew as well, we've got the one standout horse and Teahupoo to regain his crown. But Home by the Lee, I mean, I was all over him last year and I just don't think he likes Cheltenham all that much. So when you're looking at those horses in behind, Lucky Place is the one that is obviously on the rise.
Yeah, and that's what I felt like with him because Home by the Lee has the 3 times in the Stayers Hurdle, they've all been on pretty bad ground. I was half hoping or expecting this year we might get some more good to soft type ground because we've had that for so many festivals before, but it's been wet, hasn't it? There's been lots of rain about, so it may still be a bit too tested for Home by the Lee. Lucky Place for me is definitely the second in command for this race, but Teahupoo's going to be a tough nut to crack, but if someone's going to do it, it'll be Lucky Place.
Yeah, and Home by the Lee, he's yet to figure out that the stable yard is right at the top of the hill and he loves aiming for a stable yard, so says his trainer, but anyway. Top price at 8-1 with 365 with Sky Bet, with Boyle Sports, and also with Betway as well. Then Lucky Place for the Stayers Hurdle. Right, Andrew, back to you, please, for your 9th.
Okay, number 9 on my list is a horse an even bigger price than L'Empresse, and that is That'll Do Moss in the Dawn Run, the 2 mile 1 furlong mares novices hurdle. Now, I love these races because you often get big price place horses. Now, in the last 10 years, we've had 19 hurdle races confined to mares at Cheltenham, 10 runnings of the mares, hurdle over 2.5, and 9 runnings of this 2 mile 1 furlong contest. Now, in that time, those 19 races, 13 were won by hold-up horses. We've also had 11 second places from horses who've come from off the pace, including 250-1 shots and a 66-1 poke. And also 8 of them finished third, 100-1, 80-1 and 40-1 amongst those. So what I like to do is take on the front of the market. They're often going to get racing too far out, go a little bit too hard. And it's often the case that the second or third best horse don't finish second or third. They get their hearts broken halfway up the running and fade, weaken into sort of 4th or 5th, and you find something at a huge price, ridden patiently, coming from off the pace to pick up the pieces. Now, Fergal O'Brien, his horses are often ridden patiently. And if you go back to the 2018 running of this race, Willie Mullins won it with Lorena, the 7-4 on favourite. Now, the horse I put up as the without the favourites bet was Cap Soleil for Fergal O'Brien, who, after timing here, but managed to scrape second place by a short head from an 80-1 shot who was also ridden patiently. Finished 18 lengths behind the winner, but it doesn't matter if you're on each way or without the favourite. So I think the same thing's going to happen here with That'll Do Moss, who was a point winner and then was a bumper winner on the rules debut at Utoxeter, coming from off the pace last June when it was really hard to do so. Utoxeter generally favours early pace, particularly at that meeting. The second, third and fourth in that steadily run contest were up at the pace throughout. That marked her down as one to follow. She's gone for a listed bumper at Cheltenham next time, 5 months later at the November meeting. Now, she's only finished 7th, but Fergal O'Brien had 3 runners that day. She was the biggest price of the trio. She was a 16-1 shot. And they didn't go hard enough for her. And she stayed on, not being a million miles, in 7th place. And the other 2 O'Brien runners finished 2nd and 3rd. Now, since then, she's gone to Ayr, won on her hurdles debut. And then last time out, she's been stepped up in the trip, 2.5 miles, soft ground at Sandown. Only just got chinned in a Grade 2 contest. Now, you could say after that coming back in trip is not going to suit, but she does race keenly. Strongly run 2 miles 1 up the hill at Cheltenham, particularly if the ground is soft. It's going to be right up her street. And I'm expecting her to be ridden patiently with a view to getting in the frame late on. Now, the Racing Post top speed figures have her as the joint 4th fastest horse in this lineup, giving her a good chance on the figures. And I think around about sort of 40 to 1, 50 to 1. There's every chance she can finish in the first 3 or 4 here, and who knows, might even cause a massive upset.
50 to 1 top price there, Ladbrokes.
Oh, excellent. I should also mention that Fergal O'Brien has got Shio Gal in this race, who actually finished ahead of That'll Do Moss in that listed bumper at Cheltenham last November, and hasn't been quite so effective over hurdles as That'll Do Moss, but there's another one who's likely to be ridden patiently, could improve for this kind of big field, strong pace setup, and 66 to 1 might also go well. But yeah, That'll Do Moss, get on each way.
I love the British theme that we've currently got that we're going through so far. But yeah, hopefully another one there. 50 to 1 Ladbrokes, top price, but 33s, as you can see, as a general price, about a whole load of with a whole load of firms as well. Then we should say that, of course, these prices are at the time of recording as well. But 50 to 1 top price. And like I say, when it was only a short head separating her from a Grade 2 winner, Jane Seymour, last time out, not a bad way to go at all. You're going to keep the British theme going?
Absolutely not.
Nope.
It's Cheltenham. We want to just find winners. And while Andrew's throwing out 50 to 1 shots, I've got a favourite in here who has shortened up a bit since I submitted her as a selection in here. But again, with the ranking in the list, she's down in 9th because it is the race that it is. So it's the Mare's Chase. Dino Blue is one that I can definitely make a case for in the Mare's Chase. Now, she's 7 to 4 top price now, which I don't think is bad, but she is bottom price 5 to 4 out there. So there comes a line where every horse has got a price. But this race is sort of falling apart a bit this year. Impervious was one I put up in my column a bit earlier in the season. It was not run of money back, so no harm done there, but she's, despite the positive comments, she's not coming to this race. You've got Limerick Lace that won the race last year that's definitely been more tilted towards a Grand National and is in no sort of form this season. We had Bioluminescence that everyone was sort of throwing about saying that she could be a contestant in here, and she's been beaten recently and I don't even know if she'll run. Allegory Devassi, as much as I love her, she's let me down too many times. And including last time out when Dino Blue got the better of her, a lot was made of that with Paul Townend going wide on the course, as maybe that was the reason why she got beat. But
that's because she jumps out to her right, and so she needed that rail to her right-hand side to stop her doing that, I think.
Yeah, true. But I think it's interesting as well with Mark Walsh, because I think he intentionally kept Dino Blue on the inside. He did the same at Leopardstown at Christmas. Very good hilly-way run behind Energumene. She was £10 wrong with him that day. Energumene still run well behind John Bonnet Ascot after, so it was reasonable form. She was well supported in that, and of course that's an open graded race she's running in rather than just against the girls. But back against the girls, beating Allegory Devassi, the 2 times she's been kept on the inside. Christmas, she didn't really seem to see the race out when she was travelling fine. They put the tongue tie on, so I thought, well, maybe she's just gone. The breathing issues had too much of a say on her to not see out her races. But against Allegory Devassi, she did knuckle down and get the job done. Now, in this race 12 months ago, Keith Donoghue gave Limerick Lace one of the best rides of the festival because he was a few lengths in front of her, but as they turned in, he kicked, and it was definitely before Mark Walsh was expecting him to do so. So where I've talked about Mark Walsh intentionally seemed to be on the inner this season, especially that race at Leopardstown when the ground was definitely better on the outside, I think he's just plotting his way and thinking about Cheltenham, because I think in March this year, he is going to spend this horse for home, just like Limerick Lace did last year. She was probably 3 lengths behind Limerick Lace, reduced that deficit to only 3/4 of a length, and even going back to her Grand Daniel, she took half the fence with her on the run-in, and she still wasn't slowing down. No. So I think she gets first run on these. It's not as good a race as it was last year. I think she wins this quite comfortably, but she's down the bottom of the list because it is the Mare's division. I've never tipped a winner of the Mare's Chase, and as Andrew said,
I've already had it for about 3 years.
It's only been four runnings of it, so don't beat yourself up.
Well, exactly, but 4 run-ins and no favourite going in, so we want winners at Cheltenham, don't we? Don't worry about value too much now.
Yeah, exactly. We want winners, certainly. But that's what I was going to ask you. You've pretty much answered it there already. I was going to ask about the trip, the stamina for her, because we know she's a Dr. Dino. We know that they're not stayers over 3 miles, as they've all been saying from the point-to-point circuit, and very much 2-milers. And I led her up the day that she busted every fence then, or the final 2 fences of the Grand Annual that day. And yeah, how she still managed to finish second behind Mascada, I'll never know. You don't have concerns, though, over the stamina?
Absolutely not, no. And you think, like last year, Limerick Lace, like I say, a Grand National type horse, but she was doing like good winning and good running last season at the Middleish trip. Allegory Devassi definitely stays, and she got outstayed for 3rd place by Marsh Wren last year. So it is a race that seems to pan out out that a speedy type can get away with it. And like I say, she was 3 lengths behind Limerick Lace as they turned in, and she only got beat 3/4 of a length. Mark Walsh was desperate to get that rail, which seemed to help her in the finish, and I think he's going to do exactly the same this year, but he's not going to have a Limerick Lace to take on, so I do really think she just wins.
Proper battered back to me that was, wasn't it then? Well answered,
Fight and
sir.
talk.
Wasn't it just 7-4 then top price with Betway and Ladbrokes as well about Dino Blue in the mares chase. Andrew, back to you, number 8.
Yeah, you're going to hate me now, David, even more than you do already, because I'm going to take on your Dino Blue with an outside. Now, the prices don't have to get bigger every time I give a selection, do they? But number 8 goes in the mare's chase, and it's La Renommée for Dr. Richard Newland and Jamie Insole. I mean, there's a couple of outsiders I fancy here, but this is the biggest of the pair. Now, we've only had 4 runnings of this race. It tends to, so far it's been best to be up with the pace. 1 winner made, all 3 were prominent. Dino Blue, like you said, was given too much to do in this race last year. My only worry is that she is a Dr. Dino, and they tend to decline quite rapidly with age. Now, had you back all the chasers from this sire, 7 years old or younger, you'd have sort of 50-odd winners from 200 and something bets, about 22% strike rate, made a profit of 176 quid or 80% on turnover. Those aged 8 or older, only 10 winners from 86. That 22% strike rate drops to around 11%, and you'd lose 45 quid, which is over 50% on turnover. So they do tend to go...
Just for fences, did you say?
Yeah.
Is that fences?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So they do tend to go off the boil with age, although she is obviously the best of those near the head of the market. I want to be against last year's winner, Limerick Lace, who's been beaten by sort of 76-30 and 26 lengths, I think, in her 3 starts since Cheltenham last year. Allegoria Devasi's got to go right-handed. Has been beaten in this race twice here. And another slight concern with Dino Blue is that she's now been to the Cheltenham Festival on 3 occasions. She's been beaten on 3 occasions every time.
I only wrote her one of those. I'm only the curse for 1 year. Okay, last year was not my curse.
So yeah, I'm going for glory again here with a big price one.
Yes.
Now, La Renommée last time out ran behind Telepathique at Huntingdon, and just basically didn't like going right-handed, jumped poorly, and I thought did well to continue rather than be pulled up and finish about 15 lengths back in the last of 4. Now, in this race, even though we've only had 4 runnings, it's a bit like those mares' hurdles where you often get big-priced horses with course form and patient tactics running big races. You know, Venetia Williams has sort of had a couple placed at big prices in this in consecutive years. And I think with Dino Blue, who's got form here, particularly at the April meeting, likes the new course at Cheltenham. And likes going left-handed, could bounce back and run a big race here. So if you forget that last run, and I mean she's won 6 of her 17 starts over fences. You'd have made a profit of £13.75 backing her blind. On good or faster going based on race time, she's 5 from 5 over fences. Now I know this day and age the chance of getting good ground at Cheltenham is virtually non-existent, but if it's no worse than good to soft, I thought she could get into the frame here. And I say she's she's a Dr. Dino as well, but a younger one than the favourite. And her 3 runs here at Cheltenham, 2nd, 3rd and 1st. So she likes the track. 2 runs ago she won a listed company at Doncaster, the last time she went left-handed, recording a career best Racing Post rating of 146. Doesn't give her a mountain to climb here to get in the first 2 or 3. So it was 66 to 1.
66 Betway, top price. 66 to 1. Interesting that you said she's a Dr. Dino as well. I hadn't even clocked that, to be honest. I was just thinking, when you said about the fences, I was thinking of State Man and thinking about him over hurdles and whether or not that kind of counteracts that a little bit for older horses. But over fences, yeah, she's a 7-year-old rather than Dino Blue as an 8-year-old in here. So you two butting heads with the Dr. Dinos in the mare's chase, at least.
We can just give the viewers the forecast.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So
yeah.
even if Dino Blue gets beat,
74 and 66 to 1. Yeah, exactly. She finishes 2nd again to a 66 to 1 poke. Then La Renommée for Andrew. Right, Dave, back to you, please.
Right, I've gone for a bigger priced one. And again, I just want to explain why it's down the bottom of the pecking order, because he could be right at the top of the tree. He would be my handicap nap of the week. He's just down the bottom because I wonder if I'm starting to blindside myself with this horse, because I can't have him beat, which is mad in a Cheltenham Festival. But it's the changing man for the Ultima.
And in the Ultima as well,
I know.
to have a horse beat.
Now,
Wow.
He's been like frequent.
You love this horse.
Yeah, I do, and he's been frequent on this Weekend Watch show as well. At the start of the season, I put him up when he fell in the Badger Beer. Never was going to win that day, but obviously not the best start. Then I put him up next time when he got beat by Frere Bamboo. But as much as he's been getting beaten, he's run 3 seconds in similar handicaps, long 3 mile staying handicaps that are all sort of grade 3 or the Premier handicaps. And And he's been getting beat by good horses. It's all getting franked by horses in behind too. Even that Doncaster run, Some Scope was about 20 lengths behind, came out and won the Roland Merrick. Victorino's obviously franked the form from again at Ascot. 300-3-5 was behind him in third that day in the handicap, and even franked it again with that tussle with Victorino a couple of weekends ago. And a couple of weekends ago when he ran in that Reynoldstown, I'd napped him on the show, and I know the race fell apart because Lowry's Bar didn't go there, the issue, but we saw how bad he ran at Kempton after, so maybe he wasn't going to be the threat that people thought he was. Ginkgo Blue did unseat quite early on, but again, I don't think they were really going to be the threat that everyone thought they were in the first instance. But it's done me a favour, really, because he's absolutely slapped up the rest of the field. I know there's only 2 other runners, but he jumped beautifully. He just looked like a seasoned chaser. And before, obviously his novice season, he didn't win, which is why he comes into this season still as a novice. Before, back then, he did look like a baby that had a lot to learn. But this season, he just looks like a completely different beast. Now, he had wind surgery over the summer. He's had a tongue-tie sport throughout the season. Those 2 things seem to have made a massive difference to him. And for all that he's been a bit, I guess, unlucky and people maybe questioned his constitution in the finish, the Reynoldstown win, I think, is going to do him the world of good in terms of a confidence boost, because it can't be nice for him to be putting his best efforts in these big handicaps and keep getting beat on the line. So I think not only is the win coming into this a big positive for him just in general, for this particular horse, it's going to be a massive confidence booster for him. And just to touch back on his novice season, you think his novice chase debut, he split Grey Dawn and Stay Away Faye. This horse is only rated 140. 3 RPRs this season of 146, one of them's 145. I definitely think this horse could be pushing 150. So he's got a little bit of wiggle room in his mark as well, I think. He's got course form. A couple of years ago in the Potemps finished 8th. I say he stayed on. He was up with Good Tom Johnny as they jumped the last, and then he petered back a little bit, but he was only beaten 5 lengths. Really keen back in his hurdling days. Didn't really treat his hurdles with any respect. And then you can fit a lot of trends on this race as well. I won't run through all of them, but he does tick every single box from a trends profile as well. So 10-1 top price about him. I see this horse going off favourite for a race that the British do like to win.
Yes.
And yeah, I can't have him beat.
I'm going to give you a stats booster for that because
Here we go.
he's the right price as well. Because in the last 10 years, you bet every horse returned an SP of 11-1 or shorter in this race. You'd have had 9 of the 10 winners from 59 bets, made a profit of £22.50. And you go through it and you're getting sort of 4 or 5 horses in the first 6. And with all those extra places on offer, just betting every horse at the head of the market each way, you'd have made a very good return over the years. So, yeah.
10-1 then with Bet365 to take advantage of that for changing man. And like you say, on the back of that win, which you tipped him up for as well, we were doubters. Well, I was a doubter, but you weren't.
That's the mad thing about it as well. If Lowry's Bar would have run and Ginkgo Blue would have stood up, he would have done the same to them. He might not have beaten them 20 odd lengths, but he would have slammed them, and the handicapper would have had like no option but to put more than £2 on his back. I think he's got £5 or £6 in hand from that run on its own. Plus, I think he's got a bit more in the tank anyway, so I like him, as you can probably tell.
I can tell that, exactly, yeah. And the Brits love
So
this
what number
race
is that?
as well.
Number 8?
Number 8.
You're
Yes.
very confident about number 8.
That was
What's
number, I know,
gonna
how
be
much
like?
more confident can we go? When we get to 1, Dave's just got to, go mad for this. Andrew, you're on to number 7, please.
Yeah, I'm going to the Brown Advisory on day 2 and Better Days Ahead. Now, I was keen to take on the likely market, well, the current favourite and the likely favourite on the day, Ballyburn, who's stepping up in trip, can race keenly over shorter trips, run over 2 miles just a couple of runs ago, so there's no guarantee that his stamina is going to see him home in this 3-mile contest. Dancing City, the second favourite, I thought his chance is obvious and well covered in offers around about 11-4 or 3-1. So I've gone to the next in the market, around about 8-1, I think.
Yep, 8-1.
And that's Better Days Ahead for Gordon Elliott. The key to him is going left-handed. I know that's a sort of recurring theme in my selections here. But when you go back to his hurdles win at Fairyhouse when he was long odds on, he outclassed his opponent, jumped out to his left sort of all the way round. Since then, 6 of his 7 runs have come on left-handed tracks. The only exception was at the Punchestown Festival last year when he was 3rd to Dancing City, which was a good effort given that he didn't enjoy the track. And he's really taken off since he's gone over fences this season. He's had 3 goes, first, second by a head and first. He won the Martin Pipe last year on heavy ground because he did run here in the bumper as well. Didn't do particularly well on the champion bumper, reaching 16th. But I like the fact that he's come here last year, proven that he can handle the conditions and the atmosphere. And I think confidence will increase the softer the going. If it came up heavy, it'd be a cracking bet as well because that would put more doubt about the stamina of Ballyburn. So yeah, Better Days Ahead in the Brown Advisory is number 7.
8-1 then. AK Bet, Spoil Sports and Ladbrokes as well for better days ahead. Dave, 7 for you.
Yeah, number 7, I'm going to stay with the novice stay-in chasers, and it's Transmission for the National Hunt Novices Handicap Chase. I won't want to say that again.
Always a catchy name, isn't it, this race?
But this is a race that was, like the announcement was made in the summer. I don't think anyone had any plans last season to sort of be holding their horses back over hurdles like they sometimes would do for these novice chase handicaps, to keep an eye on a mark for this type of contest. So I think this is going to be a slightly niche year in the result that we get, but going forward it's going to be your future national types that the trainers know about, and they're going to do those sorts of things with them. So I think that's a big positive and plus for Transmission. And Neil Mulholland has clearly seen the change of conditions in the race and thought all these Christmases have come at once, because this is a race that Transmission can go and actually contest at a Cheltenham Festival with a chance, whereas previously he wouldn't have had any business being at a Cheltenham Festival, let's be honest. He's been exclusively kept to Cheltenham this season, so that's a massive positive he's got over all of his Irish counterparts. His first run was behind Valgrand, which again, he's run well this weekend. He's going to go well in a Grand National, and that was on ground that suited him. But it was his second run after, when Patrick Mullins was booked to ride. It was a race that he was entitled to go and win, but he did it nicely. At that point, I was a little bit worried about the fact that maybe if he's got Patrick on board, they were plotting him for a Kim Muir. But Neil Mulholland has now name-checked this race, so I'm confident that he comes here. His penultimate start behind Haiti Couleurs. He's got a £3 swing with that horse now. And that's over 3 miles, 1.5. This is 4.5 furlongs further. And as much as this horse jumps a little bit out to his right, he just doesn't stop staying. So I've got no reason to believe that he can't reverse the form with Haiti Couleurs. That, for me, makes him the best of the British. He's 9-1. There's 5 places up for grabs. And we'll remember last season, Joe Anderson with one of the rides of the season at Plumpton, when the horse almost unshipped him and he stayed on. That just clearly defines his abundance of stamina, but it also shows his liking for a particular track. He's 2 from 2 at Plumpton. They've kept him exclusive to Cheltenham. He has got his head in front there. Even his Cleve hurdle run, it was pointless putting him over hurdles in terms of trying to be competitive and win the race, but it was another bit of experience at Cheltenham at a big meeting. So the Irish, you can probably put a blanket over a few of them in there, I think, for their chances. Now is the hour. Captain Cody, Shannon Royale, I'd all give them a bit of a chance. But when I can't find a standout Irish contender, but I'm confident the Transmission's the best of the British, 9-1, 5 places in that new novices handicap chase, I think looks a cracking bet.
Yeah, 9-1 there with Bet365 again, top price at the time of recording. That won Ride of the Year, actually.
We did actually get it.
Yeah, it did get Ride of the Year then. Considering it was back in January, and a lot of people, you kind of feel it was a real throwback. Yeah. But yeah, won Ride of the Year then for 2024, Joe Anderson.
Remind me, I was on the second that day.
Oh, good. You must have been counting your chickens from a long way out then, Andrew.
It's one of those where were you moments, isn't it? Because I flew over to Nace to watch the Lord of the Nace, and it was abandoned through fog, wasn't it? So just went to the pub and watched Joe Anderson ride a winner at Plumpton instead.
Ride a winner with no irons or anything instead.
But I went there for Cheltenham Festival clues for last year, but little did I know I'd found the Cheltenham Festival winner for this year.
It's all meant to be. It's all the universe works in mysterious ways in the racing game. Andrew, number 6 for you, your last selection for this part of the show.
Yeah, I'm going to the County Hurdle and Valgrand for Dan Skelton. Now, I used to hate the County Hurdle. I went for probably decades without backing the winner. Yeah. But it's been a lot more manageable in recent years. In the last 10 years, 9 of the winners were trained by either Willie Mullins or Dan Skelton. Now, the score at the moment is 5-4 to Mullins, but Skelton has had far fewer runners. His strike rate's almost 24%, where it's 11% for Mullins. Now, if you'd backed all their horses blind in the last 10 years, those 9 winners would have made you a profit of £98.25p, profit of almost 160% on turnover. It's been a great way to sort of negotiate the place pot as well. Now, this year, Mullins has got 16 of the 73 entries, which isn't particularly helpful, but Mr. Skelton's only got 3. Now, you could also argue that Dan Skelton has trained more than 4 winners of the County Hurdle, because when he was assistant to Paul Nicholls used to have a great record in this race. And the rumour goes that Skelton was the one who was responsible for sort of plotting them up. And then since Skelton left to set up on his own, the Nicholls record in this race has declined quite considerably. So he knows what it takes. And the one I like is Valgrand, the shortest price of his 3 runners. Now, this one's 2 runs in Handicap Hurdle Company wouldn't get you rushing to take 10-1, 12-1, or whatever his best price is. He finished 10th of 14 over the County Hurdle course and distance, but I think that was a nice sighter to get experience of the track. Last time out over Christmas at Kempton, he was 7th of the 8 runners. But then ignore those 2 runs, gets a nice mark as a result, and let's have a look what he's done previously in sort of bumpers and novice hurdles. He was 4th of 18 in the Grade 2 bumper at Aintree, and earlier this season he's bumped into Potter's Charm over 2 miles 5 furlong here at Cheltenham. He started odds on that day. Clearly hasn't seen out the trip, and coming has improved for sort of 2 miles rather than 2.5. And I think he's got a touch of class about him. He looks well handicapped. If you say those were just sort of plotty runs to get him a nice mark for this race since handicapping. I might be putting 2 and 2 together and making 5, and he might be a genuine 50-1 shot, not a 10-1 shot. But I think Valgrand is the skeleton plot for this year's county hurdle. I'll probably save on the same yards Willie the Builder, who's got a good record when going left-handed for the yard. He's about sort of 33-1 or 50-1, and of course Skelton has won this with a 33-1 shot before. That was Mohayed a few years ago.
Like it's fascinating, isn't it? You see Willie Mullins and Dan Skelton both aiming for this race. Hopefully he can bridge that gap and make it 5-5 then, would it be?
Yeah,
if he went and got it, then 5-5.
That's in the last 10 years only,
In the last 10 years.
Mullins won it a couple of times before Skelton started training.
So he's got a way to go to actually be getting past Mullins' record then. But always a great head-to-head that we like to see. And top price 12-1 at the time of recording with Ladbrokes for Valgrand for the county hurdle. Dave, your last selection for this part.
Yes, so the bottom 5, like I say, I don't want to say no particular order, but they were all sort of maybe questionable, I guess, to some extent. This one more than any, and it's the yellow clay for the Turners. I will talk a tiny bit about the Bartlett because there's an option that he might go there. But Gordon Elliott has name-checked the Turners on multiple occasions. It almost seems to be annoying him that when trainers are asking where he's going to go at Cheltenham, because he wants to just say, well, I've already told you he goes to the Turners. Obviously, that race is starting to look pretty tasty this year. Kawabunga's now come out, but I think this horse has loads of ability. I think the favourite in the Turners at the moment, Final Demand, is a big old horse. He's a Gold Cup horse for the future, and if he'd have had one more run, there's no way Willie Mullins would run him in here. He'd run him in the Bartlett. The new line we've talked about before, I don't want to get any more criticism for trying to dig into him, but we know that the bar that's set at the moment is by Final Demand, and I don't think his optimum conditions are going to be in the Turners. The yellow clay, I know people are saying the Albert Bartlett and he's prominent in the betting for that, but I don't see what everyone else does in the fact that I don't think he's a boat. I think he's a fast horse. When he was bumpering, Jamie Codd was very complimentary of him. This is his first season bumpering. And then Gordon Elliott even said if he was trained with another trainer in Ireland, he would probably be going on the flat. He's that fast. He didn't go hurdling in this season after bumpering. There must have been some sort of issue, but he still ran in the Cheltenham Champion bumper, ran all right there. He ran at Punchestown, was second to Redemption Day, the bumper horse. He had William Money well behind, he had Romeo Coolio well behind, and they're relatively well fancied for a Supreme. So he's definitely not short of speed. And his wins this season, he's unbeaten over hurdles. So if you ignore his second season bumpering, he's unbeaten. I mean, I can prove anything with the facts that I'm throwing out. But his wins this season have been pretty good. I know he just had to grind to get a win against Fleur in the Park, who let the form down this weekend in the Michael Purcell. But that was run at a Dordal, and then the horse tried to get away from him from the back of the last. And he showed loads of speed that day to win. He'd already slammed the rival beforehand. He then went to the Lauders of Naas and he destroyed the field there too. He had Wingmen behind, who was a similar distance behind Final Demand at the Dublin Racing Festival. But the other horse, Super Sunday, that he beat was beaten out of sight at the Dublin Racing Festival. So I think his form stands up to suggest that he should be definitely not vying for favouritism, but he should be a hell of a lot shorter than 6-1. And I think he's only that price because of the fact that there is the doubt that he might go to the Albert Bartlett. I think he does go there. I think he comes to the Turners. But if he did go to the Albert Bartlett for the purpose of the show, I'd just slap him up in there as well. Because I say, Gordon holds him in high regard. If he decides that's the right race for him to go to get the Cheltenham Festival win, then I will follow him like the lemming that I am. If he runs in the Turners, that vote of confidence for him, though, will be something to take note of. I think the market will respect it too, and I can see him go relatively short. Just a last thing to touch on the Turners. We know that the Shallow Hurdle's got a bad record going into that race, winners of that race. The Golden Signet, the Final Demand won as well. The 5 of the last 6 have all been beaten, and they're including a 6-4 favourite, Pont Alexandra for Willie Mullins. The last one that did win it from the Golden Signet was Nicanor, that beat Denman from the Challow. So that's a bit of a line in for those two. But the Slaney, which is what the Yellow Clay won, or the Lauders of Naas now, every winner of that race has been placed that's come here, apart from Battle Over Doyen, who didn't travel. So I think the Yellow Clay's got all the form in the book to suggest he's going to go very well in the Turners, and the bookies have got the price wrong. He's a great bet, I think.
7-1 for the Turners. AK Bets being the top price. They're also the top price for the Albert Bartlett as well at 7-2 for that race. So clearly the market is expecting him to go for the longer trip. However, Dave mainly sticking him up then for the Turners, hoping that Gordon Elliott hasn't put everyone away and that he is going to go down the intermediate route, a horse that I absolutely love. Right, lads, first selections have gone in then, but for now, it is quiz time. So make sure to get your brains working all over again because it is time for our Cheltenham Festival quiz.
I'm dreading this. I've done less homework than Barry Geraghty and Dave People put together.
Now for a change of pace. Now, the lads are really excited about this, not as excited as I am, because I have 10 Cheltenham Festival themed questions to ask the lads. They're going to have 20 seconds to answer these. Whiteboards at the ready. First one to get the answer wins. Okay, lads, so both of you got your scrubbers.
How do they bet on non-correct?
I'm not pricing this up, to be fair, now between the pair of you two, but I've definitely got my own opinions. Right, are you ready?
Okay.
Question one. Right. Which horse has most wins at the Cheltenham Festival? So childish.
How do you spell Arkle?
I mean, I'm quite proud of that.
Straight in
You draw
there.
it
Dave,
as well.
Dave straight
You get-
in there
you
with
get extra
confidence.
points for drawing?
You do, yeah, for annotations and doodles. I think you haven't even used for 20 seconds here. But 3, 2, 1. Oh, two different answers.
What we got?
Two different answers, and I think Andrew knows now. Dave is right. 1 point to Dave. Oh, Andrew.
In running
What
punters
a
are in
donut.
clover.
In
aren't
running,
they?
exactly.
Lay the favourite, lay the favourite.
Lay the favourite, we have a front runner at the first. Okay, question 2. Which jockey has the most wins at the Cheltenham Festival? And a bonus point, I don't know if it's a bonus point, I'm making up the rules as I go, I present it, I get to choose the rules. If you can name how many winners.
Can I have 2 guesses at how many winners?
To be fair, it's only an extra half a bonus point.
Can I have
in my
6
mind.
guesses at the jockey, please? How far we got?
Absolutely not.
How far are we going back? Last year?
I'm giving no clues whatsoever. I knew you were going to try and get clues out of me. Have you both got an answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So mine's got a bit wobbly because
Ooh,
it's
yes.
wet.
And yes.
Which
Oh
one?
my goodness. Both of
59.
you correct. Ruby Walsh. Ruby Walsh is the winning most jockey of the Cheltenham Festival, and the Brucey bonus point,
Oh, well done.
59. I love that you've put the brackets, so that's an extra.
Well, he's also put a question mark.
No,
so
I know, and a
In
question
bra- I
mark.
put 56
Quickly
in
wipe that
brackets,
last bit out.
just in-
59 winners as well then. How on
Phenomenal.
earth did you know that?
Because I remember the last one that he had, and I remember thinking he was
And
never
you
going to
were
get to
the
60.
one. Oh, well done. And you were the one that was worrying about this quiz, not getting this. Okay. As I say, I've made up the points here, so I'm giving Dave an extra one for that. So he's currently on 3. Andrew's on 1. Question 3. Now, the same question for the trainer is too easy. So I want you to name the trainer with the second most wins at the Cheltenham Festival. And again, a Brucey bonus if you manage to get the amount of wins that said trainer has had.
50 to 1 to get this right.
He's absolutely backing it, though.
If it's not this one, I know the number of winners the other guy had, but I don't know if this guy had more.
The other guy. Andrew's definitely trying to have a peek. Okay. Right, we are up to time then. 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Am I an idiot?
Oh, sorry, Dave. You finally dropped a point,
was
finally.
Hendo.
Oh,
Yep. Andrew got it right there. Nicky Henderson, but
71,
unfortunately not the number. If you reverse those 2 numbers that you've got down for 37, then you would have had it right.
I was going to say I'm
73.
dyslexic, but that's...
It would have
Not
been
PC.
it would have been a notable excuse then. But well done though. Point to you then. Nicky Henderson is the second most winning trainer at the Cheltenham Festival. Okay, so Andrew is clawing back Dave's advantage there with the point for Nicky Henderson. Right, question 4 now. And we've got the easy questions out of the way, so it's about to get a bit more tricky. Now, in what year did Willie Mullins train his first Cheltenham Festival winner? And again, extra points that I'm making up if you can get the horse and the race.
Oh, my goodness.
There's no extra pressure for that, but... Okay, you've got a few more seconds.
I think I've got this one.
Please.
Well, you have been
just
putting in some
illegible.
extra details. It's not illegible. Okay, 3, 2, 1. In terms of the year. Ooh, Dave's got this one again for the year.
1995?
And let's see,
Bumper?
tourist attraction in the Supreme. You were so close.
It's Willie's in the bumper.
I know exactly. That's the old cliche goes. You were so close. So I'm going to give you an extra point for that then as well. That's going to be my
Do I
decider.
get an extra point for only being 9 years out?
Absolutely not. I think these points may well count as like away goals used to in Champions League. That's how I'm working it in my mind because our scoreboard behind us is revealing now that Dave's got, well, coming into this one had the 2 right, Andrew had the 2 right, That was question 4. So Andrew with the point there. Okay, question 5. Can you name in order the top 3 in the 2016 Supreme Novices Hurdle? Ooh. If I give you a clue, this was a good one. This is a good renewal.
I think
2016 Supreme.
Oh, I was born then.
Merely a chap at that point.
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. No, it's going back too far. It's going back too far.
Yeah, it's not the ultimate. I just shouldn't be giving you these clues that we always think about the ultimate Supreme of recent years, but it's a pretty good renewal.
I know who was second and should have won.
I think I've got the wrong one. I can only think of 2 in this year as well. It's a bad round for
I've just
Dave.
gone back to the 90s there. What am I thinking?
Back to me. Are you both ready?
No.
Okay. I'll give you some. It was meant to be 20 seconds. We're absolutely throwing that rule out the window, aren't we?
Go for it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Andrew, extra
Haven't
points.
got a Scooby.
Extra points. Okay, so we've got Duvan, Sighting John. Didn't fancy putting a
I
third.
couldn't even think. But it's
Okay.
not the right year, is it?
No points. No points all
I was
round.
thinking Kicking King,
Nah.
then I was thinking Best
Nope.
Mate went for second.
We're going way
We're
back.
in the wrong era.
Would you like to know?
Yes,
Not
please.
really.
Altior, Min, Bouvedere. Good renewal then of the Supreme in 2016. No points there. I thought one of you might have got that, at least a winner for that one. But anyway, we move on to question 6. Okay, Tiger Roll won at the Cheltenham Festival an impressive 5 times. Can you name the 5 races that he won? Dave was already there making his answers, writing them up there before I'd even finished. To be fair, I'll give you an extra bit of time for this because there's a lot of writing involved in this one.
Oh, I've just written his name down. Do I get a point for getting the name right?
You
He won the
tiger.
He
You
won the
spelled Tiger wrong.
I mean,
Extra points if you can name the years.
absolutely not. I'm
Don't
struggling to
give me
remember
that
my
answer.
name at the minute.
Can I name the owner and get an X?
Owner and trainer. Have you both
Five-
got
was
it?
it 5 times?
5 times.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's wrong, but what the hell?
We'll roll with
Okay.
it. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Dave's got it right. Triumph or not
was
the
the se- what's
Martin
Oh,
Pike.
was it 3? Oh, right.
3
right.
cross country. What does that second line actually say, Andrew?
Triumph
Martin
Hurdle,
Pipe.
Martin Pipe, 4 miler cross country.
Oh, 4 miler cross country. No, so it was the Triumph Hurdle, the National Hunt Chase Challenge Cup, then in 2017, and then the cross country in 2018, 19, and 2021 as well.
Look at the state of my fingers.
I know. Are you rubbing this out with your hands? Dave's is absolutely
More wipes, please,
pristine
more
at
wipes.
this point. Pristine, just like his scoreboard as well. So 4 points then so far to Dave. Andrew just on the 2 for now. Right, that was question
Dreadful.
6. Okay, lads, question 7. How many fences are jumped in the Cheltenham Gold Cup? And you've got a multi-choice answer for this one. So is it A, 20, B, 21, C, 22, or D, 23? How many fences are jumped in the Cheltenham Gold Cup?
Usually just 2 by the horses I back.
We've never made it to find out. Have you both got an answer?
Yep.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, Dave's gone for C, which is 22.
Yep.
And Andrew has gone for 22 as well. Both correct. Very well done,
You
lads.
put C's, so that's wrong, isn't it?
yeah. 22. So both a point to you for that one on question 7. Okay, right. No need for your whiteboards now. Andrew's over the moon for that
Thank
because he
goodness
can
for
stop
that,
getting grubby. Okay, but this time it is first to answer wins.
Where's
okay.
the buzzers? Fingers on
I
buzzers.
know, you're going to have to make your own noise.
So if you hadn't spent all the money on the scoreboard,
Then we could have had some
buzzers.
buzzers. Exactly. Yeah, make your own noise. Pipe up then, or put your hand up or something. I don't know. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Only put your hand up if you want to go to the toilet.
That's very true, actually. Throwing it back. Right, question 8 then. Now, I'm going to name some horses that won at the Cheltenham Festival. I want you to name the jockey that rode them all during their win or during one of their wins if they have succeeded at the festival on multiple occasions. First to shout out the name wins, but if you shout out and are incorrect, you can't make another guess until the other person gets one wrong. So shout wisely, lads. Okay, starting the list. What a charm. Irish Cavalier.
Richard Johnson.
No, he is buzzed out. But
Read them all.
buzzed out. Keep going. Duke de Genevra. Glenn's Melody.
Paul Townend.
Yes! Oh, another one then for Dave. Nicely done.
Well, I need to make sure I shout in first, get my jockey to
1
rent
point
out.
deducted for not pressing the
I know,
button.
exactly. For more miming, please. That's what we require here. Extra points for mimes and buzz impressions. Okay, question 9. So same concept as the one above, but this time I'm going to name in no particular order the horses that won at a particular Cheltenham Festival. So I want you guys to shout out the year. Now we'll start with hard ones before we get on to the more obvious Grade 1 winners. Okay, Cervelo, Tammy's Hill, Lac Fontana, Spring Heeled, Ballynagore, Fingal Bay.
Jump in any time, Dave.
2011.
Oh, he's buzzed out and didn't do a buzz impression. Buzzed out, no, not 2011. Fingal Bay, Hawkeye, Present View, Midnight Prayer, Whisper, Western Warhorse.
Oh, don't say
2013.
him.
Nope, no, Dave's back in the game. Dave is back in the game.
I don't want
Holywell.
to say it after you said Western Warhorse. It should have been Champagne Fever on this list.
Just bringing back all those terrible memories. Holywell, Corvega.
2017?
No, back out again. 2017. Andrew's back in. Silver Concord. Takin de Soy. More of that. Don Poli. O'Phalen's Boy. I feel like I'm going to keep saying names. It's not going to help. Sire de Grugy.
Should we go for a point?
I'm feeling like one at this time. Balthazar King.
I must have been close. That's got to be a hint
Must
for
have
you,
been in a
Andy.
coma
Trying to
for
look.
5
Stop trying to
years.
look.
But I'm frozen
Jeski.
out, right? At the moment.
You could, at this point, to be honest, I'm going to make up the rules and say you can come back in.
20
because we're struggling. I'm running out of names rapidly.
2018.
Nope. Buzzed out again. No, buzzed out again. Andrew's back in. Jeski. Forheen. Tiger Roll.
And Val.
2019.
No! No!
was
One of
before
you.
that.
Come on now.
2016.
You said every... No. You said
Tiger Roll
everything.
won 5 times, surely.
Yeah,
one of those
exactly.
was
One of those
2019.
was...
2014?
Yes! Does that
you.
count?
We can edit that out, can't we?
No,
First question.
absolutely not. We want the realness of this,
got
the
it
whole
first
candid
go,
approach.
first go.
I only had 3 more horses' names to go. I had Vitor, Dynast, and Lord Windermere left to go.
Oh, I didn't realise it was. I thought you were going from year to year and there were different questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure. 2014. So Dave gets the point, but I don't know how much weight that point is really carrying.
Or
at
whether
this
there's
point.
anybody still watching.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
Right, lads.
Winner takes all, surely now.
Final question. I know, what are we on to? Okay, so it's going down. So Andrew's got 3. Okay, yeah, Dave, you've absolutely won this. There's no jeopardy in this final question.
I can't have a point for the last one. I guessed every year. It's like,
Yeah, but you guessed every year quicker than Andrew. It was, it was the lesser of all evils, that was. Okay, so Dave, you've clearly won this, but just to crown glory with this final question.
winner
Question
takes all.
10.
I'm happy to throw it on this question.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Okay, now I'm going to read some Cheltenham Festival facts. And again, I want you to shout out the year that these events all happened. Years are your two forte. Starting really hard, getting much easier. Okay, number 1. There were 3 winners priced 50 to 1 plus.
2023.
No, nope. There were 9 winning favourites, but only 1 odds on.
2022.
No.
Just work our way down, Andrew. We've got a system here.
Don't have the system together. Question number 3. Gavin Sheehan placed on his horse in the Supreme Novices Hurdle.
Oh, no wonder I don't remember it.
Yeah. Mellon finished 2nd.
2015.
Nope. A Nicky Henderson trained horse won the Ultimate and the Coral Cup.
2017?
No. I see a theme going here from our last question. Okay, a JP McManus horse won the Champion Hurdle.
2021.
No.
I've already said that one. You can still look in.
I know.
Is it free for all again?
Yeah, at this point, yes,
Fast
I'm going to go with.
2018?
No. A legendary jockey announced they were retiring immediately after riding a 50 to 1 winner. ASO finished 2nd in the Ryanair.
Oh, this was Froden won it. Bryony. Aso was second. Venetia, this would have been 2020.
No! After that build-up. Rachel Blackmore won at the festival for the first time.
2018.
Nope.
2019?
Yay!
There we go.
Thank
We
goodness.
got that again.
Thank goodness that we got there. Again, I don't know how much bragging rights that is behind that point, but anyway.
That's a brutal way to finish it with the
Dave
years.
has
'Cause
got-
once you've got it wrong, you're just going to keep guessing, aren't you?
Oh, Dave's been given an X, but Dave, you actually did get the point on that one. But Andrew, you've got one as a token gesture then
lovely.
on our board here. But as we knew,
I was hoping more for JP McManus's colours are green and...
next quiz, there we go. Our producer's getting the notes for our quiz next year. But lads, very well done. Dave, congratulations. You take home all of the bragging rights there. But hopefully you enjoyed that, an extra little bit of fun. And do let us know how many of those questions you got right before the lads. Okay, back to the Cheltenham Festival preview section then, as we count down the lads' 5-1 best bets. Andrew, you're on to number 5.
Yeah, and number 5 is Gidley Park in the Arkle on day 1.
I forgot about him.
Now, this race has obviously lost some of its interest after Sir Gino picked up an injury, leaving Madgeborough as a very short price favourite, but his jumping's hardly been impressive in his 2 wins over fences, and I think there's a few each-way alternatives here, headed by Gidley Park, who first came to my attention when winning a novices hurdle at Exeter last term in a very fast time for the grade. That race threw up a host of winners. And he went on to complete a hat-trick after that hurdles debut win, culminating in a 2.5 mile grade 2 win at Cheltenham on trials day from Dave's lucky place. So that's top-class form. Now, we didn't see him again that season. He's come out, sorry, didn't see him again until the Albert Park, where he stepped up to 3 miles for the first time. He's raced keenly in the rear, and he's just not got home. So he's reverted to his usual sort of forcing tactics since then. Pulled up on his chase debut when starting odds on with had an irregular heartbeat. Safe to draw a line through that. And he bounced back next time at Windsor, starting at 15-2 in a 4-runner lineup, but absolutely bolting up, albeit from Caldwell Potter, who possibly the biggest waste of money.
I was wondering if he was going to go there. And
since I bought a pair of skinny jeans. So he's not certain to make the lineup here, but he's run about 20-1. It's non-run and no bet, and this was a race that can cut up to fewer than 8 runners, meaning we'll only get 2 places on the day potentially. So if you get on in the near future, well, you've still got that 3-place anti-post concession, non-runner money back. Bear in mind, he's now had 3 runs at this 2-mile trip, and he's won all 3. So he's got the prominent running style that's proved so effective in the Arkle in recent years, and his stamina could come into play if the ground is soft or heavy. And I think he's a good each-way play at the current prices.
Yeah, 16-1 with Betway and with 365. Sky Bet haven't got him priced up, but you were suspecting that was because of a little bit of a hold-up, perhaps.
Yeah, there is. I think he was due to have a run in February, but had a minor setback, so it's not 100% that he will line up in the race. But of course, NRMB doesn't matter.
Exactly. That's the point, isn't it, then, at 16-1 top price about Gidley Park. I have forgot about him in the Arkle for Andrew. Dave, number 5 for you.
Yeah, we're into the big 5 now.
Yes.
And this horse could have been going in the Arkle if we were doing the preview at the start of the season. It's Ballyburn for the Brown Advisories. Now, I will just add that in my anti-post column, I put up better days ahead at the start of the season. I still see the race between the 2 of them. And
you've switched because I've tipped better days ahead.
It's put me off. No, but it's good we've got it covered. But I just mean my bullishness in here. I know I can be bullish at the best of times anyway, but I've got better days ahead already in the book, and followers of mine would have already done that too. So I feel like I can be even more bullish about Ballyburn at 7-4 because if he does falter, then I've got the backup bet there anyway. But I see no reason why he will falter. Last season, he was by far and away the best novice hurdler. There was no hiding place for Willie Mullins saying about the fact that he thinks this horse is a future Gold Cup horse. And for all that he was favourite for an Arkle at the start of the season, it did look likely that if the Turners were still about, he would have at least gone to that trip. So coming here isn't beyond the realms of possibility at the start of the season. Fast forward a little bit, You think the race at Kempton where he went up against Sagino, Willie Mullins would have had a choice to decide if he was going to go Arkle or Browns. There was 2 horses at the start of the season that were right at the top of the tree for exciting novice chasers. It was him and Sagino. So Willie Mullins has got a right pair of balls to come over to England to run against Sagino, giving him £6 at 2 miles on good ground to find out is he fast enough to win an Arkle. Now picture Ballyburn going in any 2-mile novice chase in Ireland, bar going up against Masborough, he'd have wiped the floor with any of them, and we would be previewing him now, potentially talking about him going for an Arkle. But they found out the answer. His run at the Dublin Racing Festival was really good. I know he jumped slowly, but it was more, I think, an educational ride for the fact that you've just gone like the clappers in Kempton against Sagino. We need to just set him down a little bit. When he got to the last and Croke Park took him up, I actually thought for a second, my God, maybe he's not that good and he's about to get beat, but obviously Ballyburn knows better, and he put 5 lengths between himself and Croke Park off the back of the last to the finishing line. So him going up in trip and going further, I just think he's going to push that distance even further on. Horses like Dancing City for his stablemate, as Andrew's already touched on earlier, like his price is definitely covering his chance, but he was getting weight from Bioluminescence. His form this season doesn't really stand up. Everything went right for him in an Albert Bartlett last year and he still couldn't manage to get the job done there. Whereas Ballyburn and Better Days Ahead are just that bit quicker, I think. So 7-4 Ballyburn is just, I think, a ludicrous price. He's the type of horse that if it had been saying that they were going to go to the Browns all season and people got this Arkle out their head from early on, he'd be closer to even money. So look, I know he is another favourite, but I think Ballyburn is the one to go and beat, and 7-4 won't be about on the week, I don't think.
No, yeah, 7-4 with 365 with Sky Bet, with Betway and Ladbrokes as well. So it's pretty much a general price at 7-4 as well. I'm pretty much sporting my Ronnie Bartlett colours at this point anyway, aren't I? I feel like I'm matching up there to Ballyburn. Hopefully that's a positive omen rather than a negative for you, Dave, because I think the world of this horse. I still think he's an absolute monster as well, and I hope that he goes for this race as well. Andrew, back to you, number 4.
Number 4, I'm going to a race Dave's already covered, the Stairs Hurdle. And although his lucky place is on my shortlist, I've gone for the Wall Park for Gordon Elliott. Now, young horse has done really well in this race. I know we keep, Cider Burley won this as an 11-year-old 2 years ago. We've had the likes of Paisley Park and Dashel Drasher and Flooring Porter sort of running well in this race as sort of veterans. But 8 of the last 10 winners were aged 6 or 7. You could have backed all 55 qualifiers and made a profit of over £57. From an expected winners score of around about 4. The blank years, 2023 and 2016, produced place horses. So it's a good angle for getting through the place pot this as well. But I really like the Wall Park here. He lacks Cheltenham Festival form, but he won on his only previous trip to Cheltenham. That was at the October meeting earlier this season when he won a hot handicap hurdle from Gowl Road on the old course. That form's obviously been well advertised by the runner-up that day. And he changed hand. That was bought by JP McManus after that win. He's gone straight from handicap to Grade 1 company in the long walk hurdle at Ascot. He's run an absolutely astonishing race because they haven't gone very hard that day. The winner, the second and third are sort of fairly prominent throughout. He's come from well in rear to finish 4th, beaten just over 3 lengths, given plenty to do by Mark Walsh that day. And I thought coming to Cheltenham on the back of that effort in what should be a more strongly run race is going to really suit him. Now, he's had 7 runs in fields of 12 or more runners for Gordon Elliott. He's won 5 of those. He remains open to improvement after only 2 runs over the 3-mile trip. The quicker they go, the better. I respect last year's winner, Teopu, as an 8-year-old, but he's ground dependent. And if you look at his record on ground that Proform rated as genuinely soft or heavy, I think it's 7 from 7 or 8 from 8 now. Good to soft or quick, he's vulnerable. And you look at the horses he's beaten this race as well, and you look at, you've had sort of Flooring Porter, Dashel Drasser, Paisley Park, Cider Burley, all the old guard. Now it's time for the youngsters to come through in this division, I think. And I can see the Wall Park running an absolutely smashing race here. And roundabout, was he 10 to 1?
12s. 12s at 365 and with Sky Bet as well as the top price.
Yeah, 12's done. I wouldn't put you off having a reverse forecast or exactor on mine and Dave's selections as well, because that could pay about 100 to 1 or plus at current prices.
Yeah, that's nice, though. At least you've given him a nod of agreement there somewhere along the way in this day's hurdle.
Slightly patronising. Yours might finish second to mine, Dave, if you're really lucky.
But good selection all the same. I mean, you did make a good case earlier on for lucky place in the same race.
But it's interesting as well, because obviously JP did pick up this horse. He's qualified for the Patemps. Off the rating that he is, if they think he's going to be able to push this sort of Grade 1 level, you'd think they might go down the handicap route. But the fact that Gordon's saying he is going to run him here, shows a sign of confidence that this horse will improve, but it also shows that he knows that Teahupu's catchable, because you're not going to throw him in a race if you don't think you can beat your other stable's star, I would imagine. So, yeah, I think I'd give him a bit of a chance. I don't know if the stronger run race will suit him as much as Lucky Place, and I definitely don't think Teahupu is just a mudlark, because his Punchestown run was good, but I do take on board exactly the same as what you said with Teahupu. I think he's there to be had.
There's your trifecta then.
Become third.
There you go. Yeah, and him back in third, though, more importantly. It is interesting, though, isn't it? Like, say, with new connections, exactly which way they want to place him. Are you taking it from a positive front that they want to run him in the Stayers hurdle, or is it a negative? It's tricky.
Because he deserves to be a short price favourite, Teahupu. There's no doubt about that at all, but he's just always been too short this season. If you think last year, this time we were doing previews, he was still a 5-2 shot, and this is probably a better renewal in the fact that there's some unexposed types. He just looks too skinny, but like he's there to get beat. Hopefully he runs a big race and we'll see one of ours potentially do him in. But if not, if he goes and wins it, then fair play to him.
Yeah, but you both said that he is a horse to beat anyway. So there you go. All bases covered on that basis. But 12-1, the top price about the wall part for Andrew for the Stayers hurdle. Dave, number 4 for you.
Number 4, it's another selection of the Stayers hurdle. No, I'm joking. It's another handicap selection though. So this one is in the top 4. It's Stumptown for the cross country. I think short and sweet with this horse, to be fair. With Transmission early in the season, he looked like the type for a National One chase. Sometimes you watch a performance and think, that's the race they'll go and win. Stumptown's win over course and distance, everyone could see how eye-catching it was. And obviously the handicapper saw that too. Put him up £8, or we can say he's up £8 because of his Grand National weight. But Mr. Coffee came up outside him, and I didn't think at the time that Keith Donoghue had seen it, but by the time that he did recognise that Mr. Coffee was there, he had to ask Stumptown for a little bit of an effort, and he quickened very quickly. It just looked like he'd just been thrown in at the last hurdle. This type of race being so niche, I think 16 runners is the max field size for it now. There are only going to be a handful of horses that I would genuinely give a chance, and as much as he's raised £8 for it, it's not going to be the same as a 2-mile handicap hurdler having £8 extra on the back. He loves it round here, and the extra weight shouldn't make as much of a difference as it might do in other types of handicaps, if you see what I mean. Like, it's not quite as literal, and he won with plenty in hand as well. So I know he's 5-2. That probably is skinny enough, but the fact that there's lots of horses in behind, people will start making cases for Mr. Coffee that probably won't win the race because he can't win a race.
Doesn't know.
You've got Galvin there that if the ground does come up nicer, people are going to start liking him. Bustleton, people are making cases for. Vanillier, there's lots of horses in behind, I think, that they're going to want to take on against Stumptown. So look, the 5-2 about him now, non-runner money back, you get that concession, but I'd still wait till the day. I think we might get 3 or 4 to 1 about him, but I think he wins this. He's only 8. Keith Donoghue's won 4 of the last 6. He's not going to jump off this horse. I reckon there's half a chance he slams them, because Tiger Roll and other horses in the past when they've prepped haven't wanted to show too much in their races, even though it wasn't a handicap. He was quite happy to travel nicely into the race, but when it comes to March, he's not going to be saving himself for any other race after. He's going to go and slam up in the cross country, I think. I think he deserves to be favourite at the price that he is, but I think we'll get bigger.
5-2 with Ladbrokes as the top price here. And of all the races, I did not expect the pair of you to go for the new formed cross-country in terms of the handicap format that it is now. You've gone for 2 races actually now that have reformed themselves as a handicap.
But again, I think this is the time to strike in those races, because if you think of the handicaps before, you didn't have your former Gold Cup horses going in there. Galvin coming into this race with the class that he's got. I know people will argue with the handicap, it makes it easier for him, but it doesn't. He was doing so well in those types of races because they were the grade 1 horses going against handicappers. Now it's handicappers versus handicappers. A higher rated handicapper, I think, will be able to get away with it. Maybe not in a couple of years because they'll plot them differently, won't they? But for now, Stumptown can get the job done.
For now, it feels more of a level playing field in a bizarre way, doesn't it? Then 5-2 about Stumptown for the cross country for Dave. Right, lads, we're getting to the crunch time now. Andrew, your third best bet.
I'm going to surprise you and go for a short price favourite.
That does surprise me.
Forget all these 66 to 1 shots. It's in the Supreme, the favourite Kopek de Bordes. I probably pronounced that completely wrong. Very boring selection, but I thought he's going to be desperately difficult to beat. Obviously, won his sole bumper start at Fairy House last year. That wasn't special form, but that maiden hurdle win when he started 6-4 on at Leopardstown over Christmas was a very taking effort, given that he jumped poorly all the way round and still managed to beat Kawabungo, his stablemate, fairly comfortably. Now, he still looked green when he's gone to the Dublin Racing Festival for his second hurdles outing, and racing keenly in the early stages, but powering away to win incredibly impressively. Now, coincidentally, those are the same 2 races that Classical Dream won before taking the Supreme in 2019.
He's got a lot of Classical Dream about him, hasn't he?
He does. Not just those wins, but in terms of his racing style, he does remind you of that one in particular. Classical Dream was one I thought couldn't win the Supreme because he was too keen.
He's too much of a head case, yeah.
And needless to say, he bolts up, and I think he's going to do the same here. So I think the biggest question is not will he win, but which Willie Mullins trained horse is going to chase him home in second. So the market says Salvatore Mundi at the moment, but I prefer the claims of Cal Histoire at a much bigger price, second to Salvatore Mundi last time out, and I think one who will improve if the ground is good to soft or quicker. So if it's not a mud bath, then maybe Cal Histoire to finish second to the favourite could be the way to boost your profit on this race as well.
Yeah, much bigger price, Cal Histoire in here. But yeah, Cobert de Board's top price, 10 to 11, but he does look an absolute rocket, doesn't he? So hoping to get favourite backers off to a good start for the week in the first race in the Supreme. Dave, number 3.
I feel like I should have like a 50 to 1 shot or something set now. Andrew's gone for a favourite, but I've gone for Lilamba in the Triumph.
Yes.
Currently about 2 to 1, and I think the whole race for the Triumph looks like it's there for the taking for the Brits. East India Dock and Lilamba, it looks like it's a battle between those two. Hello Neighbours running the Spring Juvenile was fine. I wouldn't say it was any better than that, but the first time cheap pieces travelled into it nice in contention, but didn't seem to find a lot off the bridle. Only posted a 132 RPR for that as well. It's a grade 1 win. And that Spring Juvenile, while it's been a good point for Cheltenham, more winners have finished second, third or fourth that have come and won the Triumph. Like they take a step forward for it, but obviously more horses would finish second, third and fourth that come into it. So there's been more that have tried basically. But East India Dock certainly does set the bar. I just don't think the bar's high enough that a horse won't be able to progress past it. And Lulamba, the hype around him before his Ascot debut, the fact that he got backed into favouritism for a Triumph off the back of not even having a run, and then he drifted big time in that Ascot race and still travelled through the race beautifully, jumped beautifully, just did everything that you would expect. And he achieved a 132 RPR on that first run. So I mentioned that was what Hello Neighbour got for his grade 1 win. It's what East India Dock got for his grade 2, so on his penultimate start. So while East India Dock has done a bit more since, he's still only rated 142, and I know people will say that's high enough to go and win a Triumph, but Madsborough was 139 last year off the back of 1 run, so his upward trajectory was much steeper than that there's going to be of a horse like East India Dock. And if you look at the horses that have had 3 or more runs over hurdles that are rated 142 plus, the winners were Quilixios 147, Arcona 150, I'll count Goshen because he would have won for 151, and Lossiemouth was 142, but she gets £7. Yeah. So he's 142. I think he's £5 or £6 away from winning a traditional Triumph. It isn't a traditional Triumph this year. The Irish Charge doesn't look as good, but we'd be foolish to write them all off. But I think the horse that is on the highest upward trajectory and the horse that's most likely to be the best of this entire field is Lilamba. I'm happy to take the chance at 2 to 1 because I think it's a 2-horse race. I guess you just got 2 trainer thoughts in here, people that want to back the form in the book and they'll be siding with East India Dock. Then you've got me wanting to go for the potential in Lilamba. I genuinely think his upward curve is going to be much steeper than anybody else's. And then I think you've just got people that are wrong that think anything else could win the race.
People who are just wrong. Lovely line. Well, if you're happy with the 220, you'll definitely be happy with the 9-4 for AK bets there as well about Lulamba. But again, the British have a stronghold in a race, it seems like, there in the Triumph hurdle.
Oh, we've messed this preview up, haven't we?
I know, exactly. Yeah, cue the onslaught. What's it called? The Pressbury Cup. Yeah, it's going back across the Irish Sea yet again, isn't it? But at least at this point, we can go into it with plenty of British confidence. But anyway, Andrew, right, proper crunch time now. Your next best bet.
Yeah, it's another British one.
Here we go. But, get out the bunting.
It's Protectorat, last year's winner of the Ryanair chase, bidding for a repeat on Thursday. Now, Protectorat, as a 10-year-old, will be older than all of the last 10 winners of this race, but Albertus Run won this as a 10-year-old, doubling up back in 2011, and Fontmort was 10 when winning this in 2006. I'm not too worried about those recent age stats. More importantly, he's got the running style that's so effective in this race. Now, of the last 10 runnings of this race, 4 winners made all, 4 were prominent. Only 2 winners from a sample of 53 runners came from off the pace. And in the last 8 years, 6 of the 8 winners had made the running in their prep race. You could back them all and make a very healthy profit. And last year there was one qualifier, that was Protectorat, who won it on sub 17 to 2. So obviously we're doing this a few weeks before Cheltenham, so we don't, we're sort of not sure who's running exactly. But of those ahead of him in the market, I think there's a chance that several of them won't run.
Yeah.
Factor File has got the Gold Cup as a potential target. I still think he's best right-handed as well. Ile Francais could go for the champion chase. I think that would be a mistake. I think he should come here, but lack of Cheltenham experience could find him out as well. Banbridge has got the Gold Cup on his radar, and he needs good ground. Not sure to get it. Gaelic Warrior probably more likely to go for the champion chase. Spillane's Tower has possibilities, but we know that Protectorate's coming here. He won the race last year. He's got the right running style for it. And I think there's so many ticks in boxes that, what are we now? Sort of
6 to 1.
1, yeah. I mean, I think you can play him each way at that price and be very unlucky if he's not in the 3 with a clear round. Should also mention our old friend Hitman as well, because 2 years ago he ran 3rd in this race when I backed him to finish exactly 2nd. And also had a trifecta on him banked on him to finish 2nd in the trifecta with anything else to finish 1st or 2nd. And halfway up the running, it looked like it was nailed on, but as Shishkin was 4th and going nowhere, and then flipping Shishkin has rallied and got 2nd, knocked Hitman back into 3rd, who was surrounded by outsiders. But yeah, Hitman was only 5th last year, I think, but he could be back here and he could run a big race, 66 to 1. He could go well this year. Protectorate, Hitman, straight forecast.
Straight
The
forecast.
cherry on the cake.
Yeah, wouldn't it be just? Isn't that the most Hitman thing to do? Where even if you then back him right, I'm just going to back him to finish 2nd, even though I know you napped him finish 2nd the other week. But then to go and finish 3rd, there's always one less than you're expecting from Hitman, but a big price all the same. But Protectorate, I really like that because I thought he was the horse that's been forgotten about, considering he's last year's winner for the Ryanair. Ladbrokes clearly agree with you at 9 to 2, but generally he's a 6 to 1 poke with the remainder of the firms that we are showing there. So Protectorate potentially to go back and regain retain, I should say, his crown in the Ryanair. Dave, next best bet.
Yep, it's another British runner. I feel like we should do our homework and remember that the
Union
Irish
flags
do it.
everywhere.
But this is a horse that I don't think many people they shouldn't disagree with, because it's John Bond to win the champion chase. And I know people will feel like last year was probably the one that got away from him, but he wouldn't have started favourite. And I know El Fabiola was beaten at long odds on, and in hindsight, he maybe would have won it. But we know Nicky Henderson's runners weren't going well at that time, or supposedly weren't, and he didn't run there, so it's done now, isn't it? He did run really well at Aintree in the Men in Chase, then picked up the Celebration Chase, but he's come into this season as an even better horse than he's been before. His last couple of RPRs are in the mid 170s. There he's 2 highs. I think it was 174 and 176. And I know he gets crabbed for the fact that he's not won at a Cheltenham Festival, but he was 2nd to Constitution Hill and 2nd to El Fabiola as a monster novice. They would be career highlights on any other horse's CV. So they're not negatives to use in the slightest. I know his other defeat came here in that slower chase where he banked the fence, and I think if Nico was on him, we've talked about this before, I don't think he would have ridden him into a finish, but he got his head back in front to show the class. He got a 165 RPR for that when he basically put himself out the race. It was madness to do that. Now, his peak form, it isn't here, it is at Sandown. He pushed 170 before as an RPR, that was in his slower chase a couple of years ago. But I just think conditions are set up for him this year where the challenge behind him doesn't look as deep as it could have been. Gaelic Warrior doesn't look anything like the same horse this season. Obviously, write him off at your peril, but there is a chance they've talked about potentially Ryanair with him. I think they're almost clutching at straws with him. He does have that sort of class element in him, but people can crab John Bond for coming 2nd to Constitution Hill and El Fabiola, but people won't want to crab Gaelic Warrior for getting beaten as favourite last twice against horses like Solness, who I want to be respectful of, but he's put 2 160s RPRs up in his career. The last twice, everything before that is a distance behind what John Bond will be able to do. Marine National should have got on with it last time and he didn't, so I can't see going against a better horse how that's going to suit him. And while we've had the likes of Duvan, John Bond's brother, we've had Defi de Sol, El Fabiola, and probably many more long odds on favourites that have been beaten in this, we can thank the Lord that John Bond is about 5 to 6 because he's not long odds on, so you can move him out of that mould a little bit. And the bookies are going to want to take him on. Everyone seems to have a thing against him at Cheltenham. So this price about him is madness. Like, he's 17 wins from 20 runs under rules. If we got even money every time, we'd be showing a significant profit. I think he's going to put the favourite hoodoo to bed in this race, and I don't see how John Bond gets beat, because although there is potential in behind, the only horse that could really beat him would be a Nergamine if it came up heavy, because he has got the 170s at Cheltenham, but even he's old enough to smoke now, so I can't see him doing it. John Bond will win the champion chase this year, and I think 5 to 6 about him is a pretty decent price, but I do think we'll get bigger.
Oh, think of that. We'll get bigger than that. They say the bookies will probably try and take him on then because of that Cheltenham. Yeah.
Second day, they'll have got a spanking on day one, and then they're going to want to try and get some price back. And he's one of those types of horses. It'll be 6 to 4, 7 to 4 somewhere on the day with some firms, I'd imagine. But you'll definitely get odds against, I would say. But the 5 to 6 about him now isn't terrible. He does just win.
10 to 11 with AK bets. We're doing really well on a lot of these prices as well, AK bets there. So John Bonham, champion chase again, also I really agree with. This is just, it seems like it should be a deserved success for him as much as anything else, because of his whole CV, it's just missing that one element, isn't it, the Cheltenham Festival.
But he's got like his all substantial form as well. He actually is the best horse in the race as well, isn't it? And I feel like the people that are being critical of him are saying that. They're being like, it's romantic, you want them to win because it's Duvan's brother and he's been unlucky in the past. And it's not any of that, it's because he's the best horse in the race, yeah, he
literally is just the best horse. Totally agree there. Right, time for the big one then. Your naps of the Cheltenham Festival. Andrew, would you want to tee us up?
Well, after putting up a couple of short price ones, selections 3 and 2, I've got to revert to type here and go for a big one, and it's Torrent for the Fred Winter, the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. Now, the downside with Torrent is that he's not trained in Ireland like the majority of recent winners of this contest. But he is a horse who tends to run the same race whatever he does. Now, he used to be trained by Andrew Balding on the flat, failed to win, but he's acquired some real consistency since joining Nigel Hawke and going over hurdles. 8 runs, 2 wins, 2 seconds, 4 thirds. Now, the wins came on good and soft going, suggesting that conditions won't be a problem, whatever they are. And he seems to run the same race, whatever opposition he faces. He'll stay on well from off the pace to get in the frame, whether he's running in a sort of low-grade handicap, a novice hurdle, or a Grade 2 contest. You look at his form behind East India Dock. He's placed behind that one twice. So latterly over this course and distance went a 40-1 shot. And he's just one of these ones that is going to be hunted around at the back of the field. He'll come wide, hopefully on the better ground, and will try to pick up the pieces. Horses ridden patiently have done well in the Fred Winter over the years. They tend to go hard up front, and it's difficult to race to win under prominent tactics. Now, interestingly, his current handicap mark is 121. You look at the race last year, the winner was rated 122, the runner-up 123, and the fourth 121. Now, there's obviously going to be a lot of sort of Irish plots in the race. But the fact that every horse who seems to run behind East India Dock, regardless of how far they're beaten, comes out and seems to win or run well and defeat next time. I think the fact that he was beaten 28 lengths has led to an overreaction in his price. And I think we'll find, after the Triumph Hurdle on Friday, that getting within 28 lengths of East India Dock is quite an achievement. So I think he's going to run a big race. Now, each way has got to be the way to play him. And, some of the firms are going to be offering 5, 6, even 7 places. If you get sort of 40-1 and you're getting 8-1 that he's in the sort of, the first half dozen, I think that is a really good bet because he's going to be ridden to do that. He won't be anywhere near the front end. You won't see him till late. And Torrent each way is where my price of a lottery ticket each way is going.
I was wondering, I was trying to time it for how long until we got the price of a lottery ticket. And each way nap, though, we're going to emphasise with those extra places on offer as well. But
after timing here, I think it was about 5-6 years ago, in GG's preview, I put up Silver Streak as an each way nap in the Champion Hurdle. He was third at 80-1. Never looked like winning the race at all. Torrent can get beaten 20 lengths and still pick up some place money.
Yeah, and that wider route as well that you're hoping for from off the pace. You can literally visualise it with Fred Winter, can't you? Time and time again off the pace, coming wider and against the rail there. So Torrent for a 40-1 each way nap for Andrew Mount. Dave, he's thrown you a bit of a hospital pass there for your nap now, though, but drum roll, please.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just need a minute to get over this when we talk about the type of a horse that wins a Fred Winter, talk about these prominent travelly ones, and I can just see Gaelic Warrior not getting there.
Good point.
I haven't got over it just yet. But one horse that will travel and will definitely get there is the single best bet of the Cheltenham Festival. Anyone tells you any different is wrong. It is Copex de Board to win the Supreme. Look, he is obviously short priced, and I know some people might just turn their nose up that it's like around about an even money favourite. We'll call him that. But there are different types of even money chances. And he is this price because it's the curtain raiser. If it was the last race of the festival and the book had a hide in this week, they'd be running for cover and price him up where he should be, probably like a 2's on poke. Now, this is a race that's done well for favourites. There's been a couple of odds on favourites that Appreciate It won it and Dungweeb didn't. So potato for that sort of stat. But they were both 7 and there were different types of horses that came in here. The highest rated Supreme winner I can remember is 155. He's already rated 157. So you might say, well, that's it done then. That's the case made. But there have been 4 runners rated higher than that haven't got the job done. But they were horses like Dodging Bullets, who was a second season novice. You had My Tent or Yours, who was rated 162 after winning that then Betfair hurdle, but wouldn't have been Betfair then. But he won the hurdle race, 149 he was before that. And then Q Card and Dungui were rated high, but they were both Grade 1 Cheltenham Champion bumper winners. And Copex de Board's only 5.
Yeah.
He's had that 1 run under Paul Townend. The 2 before were under Patrick, which obviously he's a great jockey, but his first run over hurdles, he jumped terribly and still got the job done. Obviously, that would potentially be a small, slight concern if he showed any tendency to make a mistake in the Dublin Race Festival, but he didn't. He jumped like an old pro. And for all we've talked about, like similarities of a Classical Dream and like the fact that he was a bit keen in that race, Classical Dream ripped Ruby's arms out on the way down to the start of the Supreme. He did everything wrong on the day and still battered the opposition. And where I've talked about trajectories, especially for like the juveniles, in this novice hurdle sphere, he's a 5-year-old, he's on the steepest upward curve, and while other horses may still be improving, none of them can get anywhere near the level that this horse has already shown. I just think he's genuinely bomb-proof. There's always a worry of a horse having its first run at Cheltenham, and I think people can maybe read into that a little bit too much when it comes to this. Obviously, with any bet, there is risks that are attached. But as I say, if this was the last race of the festival compared to being the first, he'd be a completely different price. And if worse comes to worse and I've got it wrong, we've got 27 races to get the money back. But I don't think I have.
Don't chase those losses, kids. Bet responsibly.
You can have 27 lotteries on Cheltenham Week, can't you? It's the biggest week of all of it. But like, I really do think he's like grossly the wrong price. And even with Willie Mullins' comments after saying that like it blew him away and there's just lots of positive vibes coming out, the sort of reaction he got to that race in the Dublin Race Festival makes him seem like he's borderline bomb-proof. We talked about in the Champion Chase the bad record for those horses that are real short prices. There's only so short ever a novice hurdler will get. And that's something you want to take advantage of in this instance because he should be a hell of a lot shorter than 4 to 5.
And we often find bookmakers are sort of doing concessions and special offers for the first race of the festival, offering sort of 2 to 1, 3 to 1 to a small stake or something like that as a sort of enticement to have a bet and open a new account. So worth shopping around for those.
That's a very good point mentioned as well. And as you say, that novices, because by the very definition of novices, there is only a certain price point that they actually do get to. So 10 to 11, they're AK bets. And Ladbrokes, not a bad way to go back Copex de Boards, and the pair of you two agreeing there because he is number 3 on Andrew's list, and of course then at Dave's Nap. Now, lads, something I'm going to throw at you that you don't know I'm going to throw at you.
Not another quiz, is it?
It is. Get those whiteboards ready. No. So, other than the horses that either of you have put up on each other's boards, I'd like you to pick out a horse from each other's. So Dave, right behind you for Andrew, that you would like to take from Andrew's board. What do you think his best bet is there? Not the horse that you've put up, Copex de Boards, etc., etc. Andrew, swap your glasses over so you can see Dave's board here.
I think, to be fair...
Which horse would you like to take out of his list?
Well, and genuinely it staggered me, but like the case he's made for Torrent does stand up. And even the form line with Stencil that's currently favourite that was behind East India Dock, the difference in rating that these two horses are going to have doesn't really substantiate the difference in price. Like they're I don't know, it just seems grossly overpriced. And it's a race where we've had lots of shocks. Like I say, got Gaelic Warrior beaten there. I feel bad for doing it though, Andrew, because I don't really have a great record in the Fred Winter, so I feel if I do, that's cost you your nap. So if it gets beat, we can blame me, but if it wins, we can thank Andrew.
Exactly, nicely done. Either way, we win, therefore. Andrew, out of Dave's list, which one would you be taking?
I think Transmission.
Ooh, yes.
In the 3 mile, 6, 7, 8.5 furlongs, wherever it is, novices handicap chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did like that run behind Highland at Cheltenham earlier in the season, and I think he's got a good chance.
Okay, I just wanted to get that in there then, just to boost the confidence of the pair of you two about each other's selections. But we have had a lot of agreement about the way anyway. But lads, that is your 10 countdown. So thank you so much to the pair of you for all of your hard work. Great to see you in person as well, the pair of you. But that's us done.
You look taller in real life.
I know, I am on a higher chair, to be fair, right now. I do feel like that very much so. But big thank you to the lads then for all of their hard work throughout the show. A big thank you to you, of course, for watching. Do make sure to like and subscribe to GG's YouTube channel as well, because your engagement really helps us grow and we really enjoy doing this. So I hope that you also enjoy watching it. Thank you so much again and best of luck at the 2025 Cheltenham Festival.